In this video, I'm going to go through the problems on our extra review packet for Chapter 2 for anyone who just needs a little extra practice, or maybe you're practicing to retake our Chapter 2 test, which is on solving. So I'm going to get started here. I'm going to try to do the front page of our extra review packet, so it's going to be the first 8 problems here. Okay, so the first question, which actually says number 2, should be solve for y. And so what we're going to do is get the y term by itself by moving this x term to the other side of the equal sign. And you're going to use an inverse operation there. So you're going to add 4x to go to the other side. So you have 7y will equal your 4x term that's now positive on the other side of the equal sign, plus the 12 term that was already there on the right side. So notice how it's starting to look more like y equals mx plus b. Now to get my y by itself, I'm going to undo the coefficient. The coefficient is a number multiplied by your letter, so we're going to undo that by dividing every term by 7. So your slope is 4 over 7, and your y-intercept would be 12 over 7. Now I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm not going to put the decimal down for either of those. Okay, now number 2, to get the letter r by itself, we're going to undo a multiplication by the m and the h, and that would be divide. So our f divided by mh will equal your r term, and that's how you solve number 2. For number 3, I'm going to start by getting rid of the half, and how you undo a half is you multiply by the reciprocal, which would be double, meaning multiply by 2 on both sides. And I'm going to write my L as kind of a cursive L just so it doesn't look like the number 1. So it's L times W. So now to get my W alone, I'm going to divide both sides by L. So my 2B divided by L will equal my W term. Okay, now number 4, I'm going to get my Y term by itself, very much like what I did my Y term here, which was dividing by the coefficient. Only this time I'm going to divide by a -6. And you're going to divide all your terms by -6. So for this one, the -6 is going to cancel out there in the front. A negative divided by a negative is going to make this a positive fraction. And I'm going to reduce 3 out of 6 is the same reduced as 1/2. Now let me show you how to do that on the calculator if you don't know. Let me just grab mine from my drawer. Okay, so what you're going to do when you turn your calculator on is type in the number 3, hit the fraction button, which is this ABC button here, and then the 6 key, and your calculator will reduce your fraction for you. So that's why I reduced that to be a half. And then 24 divided by -6, that's going to be a minus. Oh, let me put my x term there. 24 divided by -6 is going to be exactly -4. And that'll be our simplified y equals mx plus b. Now for m times v, to get my m alone, I'm going to divide by the term that I don't want, which is the v. So e divided by v will equal your m term. Now for number 6, this is your equation for converting a Fahrenheit to a Celsius degrees. So instead of distributing, I don't want to have a coefficient in front of the f. So if we distribute, we're going to have a 5/9 f, but we don't want that. We want 1f. So I'm going to not distribute, and I'm going to get rid of this fraction and move it to the other side by multiplying by the reciprocal. So those fractions will cancel each other out. And now on the right side, we'll have 9/5 of c. And now to get my f term alone, we're going to add 32 to the other side. So your Fahrenheit is the same as 9/5 of your Celsius plus 32 degrees. Okay, now number 7 says that a hummingbird's heart beats 210 times in 10 seconds. How many times does it beat in 50 seconds? Well, I'm going to use a word fraction to help set up my proportion. So I'm going to do heartbeat over time, which we had in seconds. So if I do heartbeat to seconds, that would be 210 over 10. Now my other fraction has to follow the same format. So how many times does it beat? So my beats is unknown in 50 seconds. So notice how seconds was in the denominator. That means 50 has to go in the denominator, and my numerator is my unknown. So it's heartbeats to seconds for both of your fractions. Now what we're gonna do is cross multiply. So here, we're gonna take 210 times 50, and we're gonna set that equal to the other diagonal multiplied together, which would be 10 times x, which is 10x. So now I'm gonna actually multiply this, 210 times 50, and I get 10,500. And now I'll divide both sides by 10. And I get 1,050. And now I'm going to use my fraction here with my words. If my variable was on top, how many times does it beat? That would be my heartbeats. Okay, now number 8. We have a rectangle over here on the left side, and the right side is asking for a simplified expression for the perimeter. Now the perimeter is equal to all 4 sides added up. So I'm going to do a little math work over here. So there are 4 sides on our rectangle. Opposite sides are equal in size, so the top and the bottom should match, and the left and the right side should match. So if I write all 4 sides out, let's add all of those up. So if I combine my x terms, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 x's. And if I add my 2 number terms, I get 14. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 would be 12x plus 14. So that's my simplified expression for adding all 4 sides up, so combining like terms. Now what I'm going to do is substitute in the perimeter as 110 and set that equal to my 12x plus 14, and now I can solve for my x. So I'm going to subtract the 14 to move that away from our x term. Now 110 minus 14 will give me 96, and last I'm going to divide by my coefficient of 12. And I get 8 for my solution. So x is going to equal 8. Now if they want the length and the width, just determine which one you want to call which, excuse me. So I'm going to do my length is my 2x plus 7, and the width I'll call 4x. So if I plug in an 8 here, 2 times 8, and then plus 7, that'll be 16 plus 7. So the length is going to be 23, and our width is going to be 4 times our variable 8, because we are going to put in for x the number 8 that we just solved, and that will be 32. Now you might have your dimensions the opposite, 32 by 23, but that's the same size rectangle. So 23 by 32. Okay, stay tuned for the next video for the next page of the packet.